Okay, well, I kind of look like heck today, but I needed to record a quick intro for this video because this video is actually a video that I filmed quite a long time ago in February with Erin Kiger, and she's talking about an upcoming book still to be announced. All about balancing life as an educator. And it's kind of interesting because even though we did it way before the pandemic thing all broke out, a lot of the themes and things that we talk about are still very relevant today. So I wanted to make sure that we talked about that and yeah, enjoy.
Hi, I'm Erin Kiger. I am currently an instructional coach in Orlando, Florida. I've been here for since July. I'm not going to count that. Since July. Prior to my instructional coaching gig now, I've been an instructional or technology coach for about 6 years prior, like intermittently. I've coached K through 12 and a little bit of higher ed. And then I didn't coach higher ed, but I worked with higher ed. And then I've also taught kindergarten, first grade, like 6 weeks of second grade, fourth grade, and fifth grade, and technology. So I feel pretty well-rounded in the elementary world. And then personally, like I said, Orlando, which has its definite ups because I'm a Disney girl and we are right next to Walt Disney World. So I'm happy about that. I'm married to a wonderful man, Tony, who is also writing a story for the book. And then we have an 18-month-old Matthew, who does everything in his own time except for coming up on those terrible twos. He's like, I got this now. I do that early.
I've got one of those, but he's 8 years old right now. Are you at public school in Orlando?
I'm at a charter school.
Okay. All right. And this is where you're instructional coaching right now. That's your current role. Okay. Is this also elementary? I'm sorry if you...
It is. So the campus that I work at is actually K-6. Okay. But the 6th grade is a middle school. We just house it. See, and 6th, 7th, and 8th, it's great how independent they are. I don't have the patience for the attitude.
I think middle school teachers, we are a little bit middle school. So I think we have some of the attitudes. So maybe that's what gets us through. We also have the really immature sense of humor too. So lots of fart and burp jokes, you know. That's the secret. See, nobody knows that, but that's the secret.
You just told.
Yeah. Now everyone can teach middle school. So tell me about your projects. You said you are in the process of writing a book.
Right.
Okay.
So I like to say compiling, right? Okay. I saw I think it was Mandy Freilich has a book, and on it she didn't say like written by, it was compiled by, because it was a bunch of different stories. And I'm like, that is perfect, because the reality is 95% of the book I'm not writing. I'm getting stories from other educators. And essentially what happened was we moved to Florida, and I was ridiculously overwhelmed because of how different Florida is, Orlando, from Las Vegas, and how my parents aren't here. The people that I grew up with aren't here. We have not technically a baby, but still a very young child. Yeah. And it's just us. And so, there were so many things that I was overwhelmed by. And then I was looking at my friends and my colleagues, one's from Vegas and one's from all around the country. And I'm looking at what they're doing, and I'm like, why can't I get that? Why can't I be doing that? Right? Oh, right. Because I'm in a new job with a new school, with new people. I have to start over,
Yeah.
And so the idea of like giving myself grace and saying like, I could spend all of my time doing my job and being around the people, but then I would have no time with my family, which I already have such limited time.
Mm-hmm.
So it started off like kind of a joke, like, hey, we've got no time, biz teachers, and then it developed into this really, I want teachers, I want principals, I want counselors, I want higher ed, I want anybody who has been in education at all. Like I have a friend who is the director of a preschool at a church, and she was pregnant and she was getting her master's degree in education. And I'm like, okay, you're in the field of education. Tell me a story. And it's basically saying like, hey, we're all trying to find that balance that just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So you're not alone. Like, cause that was my thing, is I'm like, I'm looking at my friends and I felt so alone. And I'm not.
Yeah, and I'm sure like social media doesn't help with that either, because we're only seeing the achievements, we're only seeing the good stuff. We're not seeing the parking lot crying after school.
Right. And I mean, I know we all celebrate with those achievements, but there's a part of you that's just like, but what about me?
Yeah.
And it's like, all I feel like I'm doing is crying in the parking lot.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Education is one of the most personal professions, right? Like if I'm going to go and I'm going to be a stockbroker, like I'm not personally invested in these stocks. I'm financially invested, and I might be personally invested in my finances, but you don't have to be, right?
And if your stocks don't do well, it's not something that you did personally. It's not because you're a bad, yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. You can set it aside in education because it's 100% about relationships. You can't.
Yep. It's like it's all your fault. Like the kids don't, I mean, yeah. I don't know. Some people can shake that off, but maybe it's
I think it's a learned strategy skill.
Yeah.
One of the chapters I did, I think I talked a little bit about, like at the very end, I was basically like, guilt-free is the way to be, because that's the truth. Like when it comes to your kids,
like,
I can't, if he is sick, I have to physically will myself to not feel guilty for taking time off.
Yeah.
And for not being like on my phone and on my computer answering emails and creating spreadsheets and blah, 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 blah. Like I have to physically will that. Will not feel guilty. There are some chapters that are more like advice, like here's what I do to kind of juggle things. Okay. But there are other chapters that are legitimately just like, here's a story of a time that I was really struggling, so that maybe you identify with my story, but not their story, or vice versa, right?
Yeah.
But you can see, hey, look, I felt this way, or I feel this way. They got through it. Maybe I can reach out to them and talk to them, but at least I know I'm reading from like a real person who I'm connecting with, and they got through it. They did it.
So you also do a podcast.
Yeah, I do.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I am one of 3 of the Undercaff3inated trio. And actually, I just got my copy of the EduSnap 19, and I wrote a story that was like my first endeavor in writing, besides like my own little blog. And I wrote the story of our podcast and like how it came to be. And it's basically just the 3 of us, Ashley, Joelle, and I, we worked together at that Catholic school in Las Vegas. And we really enjoyed, collaborating. We ended up presenting together a few times, and then we all kind of went our separate ways. And, 9 times out of 10, when you go your separate way from friends that you work with, you don't usually stay in touch. It's a really strong friendship where you stay in touch. And so we wanted to stay in touch. We worked on still presenting together. And then at one point, Joelle was like, let's do a podcast. Ashley and I were like, we're in. And Ashley and I both had, at that point, let's say it was October. So Ashley had like an 8-month-old and I had a 4-month-old, we're like, yes, let's do a podcast.
Mm-hmm. If people would like to talk to you about your upcoming collection of stories, how do you prefer that people contact you? Where can they find you? All of that sort of stuff.
I'm equally accessible on Twitter, Instagram, and Voxer. And I'm at EBG Tech. My name before I got married was Erin Beth Giblin. So EBG Tech on all 3 places.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for the chat. I look forward to the book when it comes out.
Oh, thank you very much.
Especially now that we have like common family in the book world.
Right.
So,
yeah. Hey, Valerie.
So that's awesome.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. This is so much fun.
Be sure to subscribe to the Reset EDU channel for the latest project updates and episodes. If you're interested in a reset for your own classroom, be sure to fill out the form at bit.ly/ResetEDU. Thank you for watching.